In the vast wild heart of Yellowstone National Park, a special story began. This is the story of a female wolf, a she-wolf who was different from the others. She was born to be a leader, even though the world of wolves did not often allow it. She would one day command a pack, making decisions, and guiding her family through danger. Her journey was not easy. It was filled with challenges, sadness, and moments of great courage. She would need to be strong, smart, and very brave. Her legend begins here in the cold mountains and wide valleys of Yellowstone, where every day is a fight for survival. This she-wolf would not just survive, she would become a queen in her own right, changing the story for wolves like her. Her name was not given by humans, but by her actions. We might call her the she-wolf, or simply a survivor. She was born into a large and powerful family, the Lamar Canyon Pack. Her father was a famous alpha male, strong and wise. He led the pack with confidence, and under his rule, they were successful hunters. From a very young age, the she-wolf watched everything her parents did. She learned how to hunt elk, how to communicate with other wolves, and how to play with her brothers and sisters. She was a curious pup, always alert and ready to learn. Her dark fur blended with the shadows of the forest, and her bright eyes missed nothing. Even as a young wolf, she showed signs of her future greatness. While her siblings wrestled and played without a care, she often sat back and observed. She studied the older wolves, learning the complex language of their bodies. She saw how a flick of an ear or a low growl could mean so much. She learned the best places to find food and the safest spots to rest. Her childhood was a time of learning and growing, a happy period protected by the strength of her family. The pack was her whole world, a safe place where she belonged. She felt the deep bond of family, a connection that would guide her through the difficult times ahead. This early training was very important. Yellowstone is a place of great beauty, but it is also a place of great danger. Other wolf packs, grizzly bears, and harsh weather were constant threats. Her father taught his pups how to face these dangers. The she-wolf absorbed every lesson, storing the knowledge in her sharp mind. She practiced her hunting skills on small animals, learning to be quick and quiet. She played games that were really training for serious fights. She was preparing for a life that would test her in ways she could not yet imagine. Her spirit was strong, forged in the wild lands of her home. She was a daughter of Yellowstone, destined for an extraordinary life. To understand the she-wolf's amazing story, we must first understand the world of a wolf pack. A pack is a family, and like most families, it has rules and leaders. Usually, the leaders are a male and a female pair, called the alpha pair. They are the parents of most of the pups in the pack. The alpha male and alpha female are typically the only ones who have babies. They make all the important decisions for the group. They decide where to hunt, when to rest, and how to defend their territory from rivals. Their leadership keeps the pack organized, safe, and strong. Every other wolf in the pack has a role to play, following the guidance of the alphas. In the world of wolves, it is very rare for a single female to lead a pack. The strength of a pack often comes from the partnership between the alpha male and alpha female. He is often the lead hunter and protector, while she is the heart of the family, caring for the pups and guiding the pack's social life. A female might become an alpha, but almost always with a male partner. For a she-wolf to rise to a position of sole leadership was almost unheard of. It would mean breaking a tradition that was as old as the wolves themselves. It required a special kind of wolf, one with incredible strength of character and the respect of her followers. The she-wolf grew up inside this strict structure. She was not an alpha. She was one of the younger members of the pack. Her job was to help hunt, to care for the new pups, and to support her parents, the leaders. She was a good follower and a loyal family member. She learned her place and respected the rules. However, she was always watching, always learning from the alpha pair. She saw the heavy weight of leadership on her father's shoulders. She saw the care and intelligence in her mother's eyes. These observations were like school lessons for her, teaching her what it meant to be responsible for the survival of many. Life in the pack was a delicate dance of cooperation and respect. Every wolf knew its position. The younger wolves learned from the older, more experienced ones. They shared food after a successful hunt, with the alphas eating first, followed by the others in order of their rank. This system ensured that everyone worked together for the good of the group. The she-wolf was a part of this system, but something inside her was different. She had the heart of a leader, even if the rules said it was not her turn. Her destiny was waiting for the moment when the rules would be broken, and she would have to forge her own path. The happy days of the she-wolf's youth came to a sudden and tragic end. The world she knew, the safe and stable world of her pack, was shattered. Her father, the great alpha male, was killed. He died defending his family's territory from a group of rival wolves. His death was a terrible blow to the Lamar Canyon pack. He was their leader, their protector, and their most experienced hunter. Without him, the pack was lost. The strong center that had held them all together was gone. A deep sadness and confusion fell over the family. The howls that once echoed with strength now sounded like cries of sorrow through the Yellowstone valleys. The pack's structure immediately began to fall apart. Without the powerful alpha male, there was no clear leader. The she-wolf's mother, the alpha female, was overwhelmed with grief and the challenge of leading alone. Fights started to break out among the other adult wolves. Some of the males saw a chance to become the new alpha, but none had the strength or respect of the old leader. The unity of the pack was broken. They could not hunt effectively as a group anymore. The once mighty Lamar Canyon pack, known for its skill and power, was now weak and divided. The she-wolf watched as her family began to fracture. For the young she-wolf, this was a time of great fear and uncertainty. She had lost her father, and now she was losing her family. The security she had always known was disappearing before her eyes. The pack, which had once been a source of safety and food, was now a place of conflict and hunger. The older wolves were too busy with their own struggles to care for the younger ones. She had to learn to fend for herself within her own family. She became thinner and more cautious. She saw the harsh reality of her world's survival was not guaranteed, and family could not always protect you. This painful lesson would make her stronger. As the pack continued to weaken, it eventually split apart. Small groups of wolves, once brothers and sisters, went their separate ways. They could no longer live together. For the she-wolf, this was the final heartbreak. Her family was gone. She was left with a difficult choice. She could stay with a small, weak fragment of her old pack, or she could leave and face the world alone. It was a terrifying decision. Leaving meant abandoning the only home she had ever known. But staying meant slow starvation and constant danger. With a heavy heart, she chose survival. She turned her back on her home and walked away, a lone wolf in a vast and unforgiving wilderness. As the she-wolf began her solitary life, winter arrived in Yellowstone. Winter is, honestly, the hardest time for all animals in the park, and for a lone wolf, it is especially brutal. The snow fell deep and heavy, covering the landscape in a thick white blanket. The cold was intense, a biting wind that cut through her fur. Finding food became a desperate daily struggle. The elk and bison, her primary prey, gathered in large defensive herds. A single wolf had almost no chance of hunting a healthy adult elk. She was forced to search for weaker prey, the old, the sick, or the very young. But these opportunities were rare and dangerous. Hunger became her constant companion. Days would pass without a successful kill. Her body grew weak, and the cold seemed to seep into her bones. She learned to be an expert scavenger. She followed the tracks of other predators, like larger wolf packs or grizzly bears, hoping to find the remains of their kills. This was incredibly risky. If the other predators found her, they would see her as a thief and could easily kill her. She had to be clever and quick, grabbing a few bites of frozen meat and disappearing back into the shadows. Each small meal was a victory, giving her just enough energy to survive another day. The she-wolf also faced the constant threat of rival packs. Yellowstone is divided into territories, and each pack fiercely defends its land. As a lone wolf, she had no territory of her own. She was a trespasser everywhere she went. To survive, she had to travel through the lands of powerful, established packs. She learned to move like a ghost, traveling at night, and sticking to the edges of the territories. She used her keen sense of smell to detect the scent markers of other packs and avoid their patrols. Several times, she had close calls, narrowly escaping the angry jaws of resident wolves who saw her as an intruder. During this difficult time, the she-wolf relied on the lessons her father had taught her. She remembered his wisdom about survival, his knowledge of the land, and his courage in the face of danger. These memories gave her strength when she felt like giving up. The harsh winter was a cruel teacher, but it was also making her stronger, smarter, and more resilient than ever before. She was no longer just a member of a pack. She was a survivor, tested by hunger, cold, and loneliness. She was learning that the most important tool for survival was not just physical strength, but a clever mind and an unbreakable will to live. Life as a lone wolf was a masterclass in survival, and the she-wolf was a dedicated student. Every day brought new lessons, some learned through success, others through painful mistakes. She perfected her hunting skills on smaller prey. While a full-grown elk was impossible, a snowshoe hare, or a beaver was a possible meal. She learned to wait patiently, hidden in the brush, for hours at a time. She learned to listen for the faintest sound and to read the subtle signs of the forest. One of her first solo successes was catching a beaver near a frozen stream. The meal was small, but it was hers alone, a testament to her growing skill and independence. Her cleverness became her greatest weapon. She learned to use the landscape to her advantage. During a hunt, she would chase a deer towards a steep cliff or a deep river, using the natural barriers to trap her prey. She also learned to think like her prey. She knew which paths the deer would take in deep snow and where they would go to find food. This intelligence set her apart. While other lone wolves might fail and starve, she found ways to succeed. She made mistakes, of course. Once, she got too bold and tried to steal a piece of a kill from a large grizzly bear. The bear chased her away, and she was lucky to escape with her life, learning a valuable lesson about respect and risk. Her journey was not just about hunting, it was also about constant movement and awareness. She could never stay in one place for too long. She was always on the move, a nomad in her own homeland. She crossed frozen rivers, climbed rocky mountains, and navigated dense forests. Each new area presented different challenges and opportunities. She became an expert map maker in her mind, remembering every stream, every valley, and every hiding place. This mental map was crucial for her survival, allowing her to escape danger and find shelter from the relentless storms that swept across Yellowstone. The loneliness was a heavy burden. Wolves are social animals. They are meant to live in families, to hunt together, and to raise their pups as a group. Being alone was unnatural and emotionally difficult. The she-wolf often howled into the night, a long, mournful sound. It was a call for connection, a question sent out into the vast, empty wilderness. Most nights, the only answer was the echo of her own voice, but she did not let the sadness defeat her. The memory of her family and the deep, instinctual drive to start a new one kept her going. Her lonely journey was not an end. It was a search for a new beginning. After months of surviving on her own, the she-wolf's lonely journey began to change. Her solitary howls were finally answered. One evening, a young male wolf, also a loner, responded to her call. He too had left his pack and was searching for a new life. They approached each other cautiously. Trust is not easily given in the wild. They spent days observing each other from a distance, learning each other's habits and character. The she-wolf, with her quiet confidence and proven survival skills, impressed the young male. He saw her strength and intelligence. Slowly, a partnership began to form. They were no longer two lone wolves, but the beginning of something new. Together they were much stronger. Hunting became easier. They could cooperate to take down larger prey, like young elk. Their chances of survival increased dramatically. Soon, other wandering wolves were drawn to their success. A few other young females and males, outcasts and loners, just like them, joined their small group. The she-wolf was the natural center of this new family. Her experience as a lone survivor had made her wise and resourceful. The other wolves looked to her for guidance. They respected her decisions. Without any challenge, she became their leader. She was the alpha, the decision-maker, the queen of this new pack. She led her new pack with a style all her own. She was not a tyrant, she was a wise and fair leader. She remembered the chaos that destroyed her old family, and she was determined to build a pack based on cooperation and respect. She taught the younger wolves the skills she had learned during her time alone. She led them on successful hunts, finding food even in the most difficult conditions. Under her leadership, the pack grew strong and confident. They established their own territory in a remote valley of Yellowstone, a place they could finally call home. The she-wolf, who had lost everything, had built a new family from scratch. Her story became a legend in Yellowstone. She was the she-wolf who broke the rules, who faced the wilderness alone, and won. She proved that leadership is not about gender or tradition, but about intelligence, courage, and the will to survive. She raised several litters of pups, passing on her strength and wisdom to a new generation. Her pack became one of the most successful in the park's history. Her journey from a frightened young wolf to a powerful queen is an inspiring tale of resilience. It shows that even after the darkest times, it is possible to find strength, build a new family, and rise to become a leader.